Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We must discuss the recent events on cable television in the United States. Because in the world of professional tennis, there are occasions that radically change the sport's demography in addition to victories and trophies. The latter we just saw. You may have observed a statistical anomaly, a spike, or a surge that defies the typical analytics of a mid-season broadcast if you have been keeping an eye on the numbers coming out of the Tennis Channel USA over the past 48 hours. The Tennis Channel, a network that traditionally boasted a reach of over 60 million households across the United States, usually caters to a fairly specialized traditional tennis clientele. It is a world of silent appreciation, technical study, and legacy fan bases. But this week, that network found itself at the hub of a digital storm, a viral phenomena that caught producers, analysts, and probably even executives in Santa Monica entirely off guard. The cause of this disturbance: a 20-year-old southpaw from Quezon City, Philippines. Alexandra. The headline you're seeing everywhere is correct. Tennis Channel USA shocked. But that is an understatement. They weren't just astonished, they were flooded. When the network featured Eala showcasing her recent breakthrough into the WDA Top 50 and her historic run, they didn't simply attract a regular segment audience. They tapped into one of the most passionate, technologically mobilized, and fiercely devoted fan populations in the entire sporting world. We are talking about the Filipino worldwide diaspora. The video portion in question, which was intended to be a regular profile on a rising talent, didn't merely stay on the television screen. It migrated. It was ripped, clipped, shared, and erupted throughout social media platforms, pulling the Tennis Channel's brand into a level of engagement they rarely see outside a Grand Slam final involving the Big Three. We are seeing engagement numbers that approach the heavyweights of the sport. Alcaraz, Swiatek, golf. But this wasn't an American champion. It was Eala. Why is this important? Because for decades, tennis has been seeking for the next big market. They looked at China with Lina Na. They looked at Japan with Naomi Osaka and Kei Nishikori. But what is happening right now with Alex is different. It's organic. It is loud and it is undeniable. When you have a subscription base of 60 million homes and suddenly a significant percentage of that viewership intensity is focused on a single player who represents a nation longing for a worldwide sporting icon, you have a recipe for a viral eruption. Today we are going to do something unusual. We are not just going to report the score. We are delving deeply. We're going to demolish this phenomenon piece by piece. We are going to look at the route that got Alex from the shell court to Manila to the beautiful hard courts of the US Open. We shall investigate the Rafa Nadal factor, the academy training that honed her steel attitude. We will look out the technical growth of her game that has helped her to smash Grand Slam champions. And significantly, we will investigate why this specific viral moment on the Tennis Channel is a signal flare for the future of the women's game. The United States has woken up to Alex. The 60 million subscribers have been presented. The question is no longer who is she. The question is how far can she go? Hold on tight. This is the deep dive. Let's frame this viral moment to comprehend the gravity of what we are seeing on the Tennis Channel. You have to grasp the vacuum that Alexandra Eala is filling. For the longest time, Southeast Asian tennis has been looking for a figure who transcends a regional circuit. We have seen outstanding players. Certainly, we have seen journeymen and journeywomen who have carved themselves decent careers. But a genuine credible singles competitor on the WDA Tour, that is a unicorn. When the Tennis Channel broadcast their segment, they were likely expecting a usual appreciation post. A player to view section. What they received was a confrontation with national pride. You have to remember the Philippines is a country that stops functioning when Manny Pacquiao fights. It is a country that swarms the common sections of the NBA anytime a player with even a drop of Filipino blood steps onto the court. So when Eala, a native talent who speaks a language, who carries a flag, and who publicly wears her ancestry literally with the Sagita hair ties at Wimbledon, when she receives a spotlight on a big US network, the reaction is not only applause. It's a matter of ownership. The fans feel they are part of the journey. And what a journey it has been. This viral moment didn't happen in a vacuum. It is a climax of a rigorous, ruthless, and magnificent ascension that began years ago. Let's go back to the beginning. You cannot talk about Alexandra Eala without talking about Manicure Spain, the Rafa Nadal Academy. There is a specific pedigree that comes from that institution. When you watch Eala play, especially in these highlights that are circulating right now, you see the DNA of that academy. You see it in the weight of the top spin. You see it in the refusal to give up on a ball. There's a rumor recently confirmed by Eala herself about her practice sessions with Rafael Nadal. Imagine that for a second. You are a teenager and you are trading blows with the king of clay. He told her to surround yourself with nice people. It sounds easy, almost cliché, but in the ruthless world of professional tennis, such counsel is a difference between burnout and longevity. That Nadal-manship is visible in her latest play style modifications. If you look at her matches from a 2022 U.S. Open Juniors, where she made history as the first Filipino to win a junior Grand Slam singles title versus her performance in the 2025/2026 season, the growth is staggering. In the juniors, she could count on consistency and grit. In the pros, against the likes of Jessica Pegula or strong hitters like Sabalenka, grit is enough. You must have weapons. The viral films circulating from the Tennis Channel illustrate this new armament, notably her lefty forehand. Being a lefty in women's tennis is already a major tactical advantage. It opens up angles that right-handers simply cannot access readily. It disturbs the rhythm of the opponent. Eala has begun to flatten that shot out. She has taken the ball sooner. This was especially noticeable in her match against Clara Tauson at the U.S. Open. The match that really confirmed her entrance in the mainstream consciousness. Down on the siding set, Eala didn't retreat. She took over. That is a rough influence. From defense to attack. Let's talk about the U.S. Open run because it offers a background for why the American audience is suddenly paying attention. The U.S. Open is the loudest, most chaotic Grand Slam. New York City is the location. To thrive there, you need a certain level of showmanship, or at least the capacity to tolerate the cacophony. A flourish there. Why? Because the Filipino community in New York showed up. We watched scenarios on outside courts that appeared like Davis Cup ties. Chants, flags, and electrifying mood. The Tennis Channel cameras captured this excitement. They saw that Eala brings a built-in environment generator. That's gold for a broadcaster. A player that brings her own crowd is a person you want on your screen. That is why they are showcasing her. That is why she is going viral. But it's not simply the atmosphere. It's the outcomes. We need to look at the numbers. Breaking into the top 50 of the WTA rankings is undoubtedly the hardest leap in professional tennis. The gap between top 100 and top 50 is a chasm. It distinguishes the qualifiers from the main draw staples. Eala crossing that threshold, attaining world number 50, communicates to the tour that she is no longer a prospect. She is a competitor. The storyline of her career took a drastic turn in late 2025. The SEA Games gold medal. Now to an American audience watching the Tennis Channel, the Southeast Asian Games would not ring a bell, but to Eala and to her core fanbase, that aim was redemption. It was duty. It was playing for the flag, and she dominated. She didn't lose a single set. It was a pressure cooker of a victory. She was really popular. Failure would have resulted from falling short of the objective. To win matches on the WTA Tour, you need to have the mental toughness necessary to manage that expectation. And let's talk about the viral factor once again. The part about social media. These days, a player's personality is just as important as their backhand. Eala is becoming better at striking a balance. She speaks clearly. She is modest. She is really proud, though. The moment Sagwa wore the Philippine national flower at Wimbledon was a branding masterclass. Whether deliberate or not. It provided a symbol to the viewers. It provided a visual hook for the narrative. These human aspects were highlighted in the Tennis Channel's season summary. The shared history-making and relationship with the Turkish player Ziyan Samez. An international audience yearning for connection finds resonance in these stories. I now want to turn my attention to the technical study of why her game is doing so well on television, which helps explain the huge audience. A's game has a nice visual appeal. It's tidy. She does not make a lot of grunts. She moved fluidly, which looked good in slow motion. Motion repeats. the mainstay of sports broadcasting. Her down-the-line backhand is turning into a defining move. Highlight reels are produced when you have a signature shot. You acquire subscribers when you get highlight reels. It's a visibility cycle. But we also need to be critical. Without considering the difficulties, this in-depth analysis wouldn't be truthful. There are two sides to viral fame. She now has millions of new viewers and, consequently, millions of new detractors thanks to the Tennis Channel feature. The top 50 is now the calibrated expectation. Losing in the first round is no longer a teaching moment. It's a disturbance. She is under a great deal of pressure. With Emma Raducanu, we witnessed this. With Osaka, we witnessed this. Overnight, the objective of the tour becomes the darling of the media. Ella is now in the living rooms of the average American sports fan thanks to the Tennis Channel's 60 million household reach. She is no longer merely a hero from the Philippines. She is starting to become well known in tennis. This alters how opponents get ready for her. They'll investigate her more thoroughly. They will target her second serve, which is still the region that requires the greatest defense, if we are being analytical. Her kick serve works well on clay, but if it is not positioned precisely, it can sit up on the fast, hard courts of the U.S. swing. These flaws will be brought to light due to the viral scrutiny. The optimism around this news cycle, however, stems from the following counterargument. At the age of 20, Ella has demonstrated an ability to adapt that is uncommon. Check out her Miami match versus Jessica Pegula. Pegula is a low, hard, flat machine. I couldn't keep up with that pace. The court did not blow her off. She competed, even though she lost. She demonstrated she belonged in the 1,000-level competitions with the match. The analysts on Tennis Channel are aware of this. They are promoting her stuff because of this. They are placing a wager that her stock will increase. They are counting on that 60 million reach turning into gold in terms of ratings if she has a strong run at Indian Wells or the U.S. Open. In addition, we must discuss the Asian swing. Although tennis is a worldwide sport, Western media frequently ignores the Asian swing at the end of the year. That dynamic is being altered by A. At the moment, she is the face of that area. Ella is necessary if the tennis station hopes to maintain viewership throughout the Asian swing. The bridge is her. She links the tournaments in Tokyo, Beijing, and Hong Kong to the U.S. prime-time audience. In a sense, the network is recognizing the geopolitical shift in tennis interest with this viral moment. Let's examine the surprise component of a headline in more detail. Why was the USA Tennis Channel taken aback? It highlights a blind area in media analytics in the West. The diaspora effect is frequently overlooked by traditional measurements. They gauge interest in the area. They measure older, wealthy tennis populations. They frequently overlooked the younger global masses' internet involvement. The system probably noticed a rise that appeared to be bot activity when ELA's content stopped because it was extremely well organized and enormous. It wasn't bots, though. They were actual individuals. A student in Texas, an engineer in California, and a nurse in New Jersey were all watching because it was the first time they had ever seen someone who looked like them treated like a star on a major U.S. sports network. This is a measurement of the power of representation. Not simply a tennis player was visible to the 60 million users. A movement caught their attention. Not to mention the financial ramifications. Sponsorships result from viral moments. Ella is a Nike athlete already. However, American endorsements are made possible by this degree of exposure on U.S. television. We are discussing a possible crossover celebrity. She goes from being renowned in tennis to being famous in culture if she can support her viral fame with a title in 2026, maybe a WDA 250 or a deep run in a slam. 10 times as much attention is being paid to the screenplay for the remaining 2026 season as it was last month. This enlarged audience will now watch every match she plays. Even her qualifications may receive coverage because to the Tennis Channel effect. She may webcast her practice sessions. She has risen to the level of celebrity in the sport. We must therefore acknowledge this viral eruption as a turning point while analyzing it. Alexandra Eala has made her mark in the media landscape as well as on the court, where she has been working hard for years. The gatekeepers of tennis coverage have been compelled to let her in. And the audience is sticking around, based on the figures, those 60 million potential screens. This pattern is not short-lived. This is the WTA Tour's new reality. There is a broadcast partner for the ELA era, and the numbers are clear. Let's stand back and consider the future to conclude this. In the end, everything we've spoken about today, the 60 million subscribers, the viral surge, the shock waves through the tennis channel, is all noise if it isn't supported by performance. However, one thing we have discovered about Alexandra Eala in recent years is that she is not afraid of making noise. She makes advantage of it. She won a Grand Slam by taking advantage of the juniors' pressure. She won a gold medal at the SEA Games by using the pressure of national expectations. She will now use the pressure of her sudden prominence in the American media to propel herself into the top 20, the top 30, and even higher. This week, the Tennis Channel may have been taken aback. The sheer amount of involvement that a 20-year-old Filipina can produce may have taken them by surprise, but I promise that they won't be taken aback the next time. They are now on notice, as is the rest of the tennis community. The terrain has evolved. As we anticipate the next Grand Slam, the audience has grown. Pay attention to the analytics as well as the center court. When Alexandra Eala takes the court, observe the audience size. A young woman who carries a nation on her back is driving the sport's growth in real time. We will be here to chronicle every serve, volley, and viral moment to mark the start of this lengthy and raucous chapter in tennis history. I appreciate you watching. Make sure you are tuned in right away if you want to be informed about this evolving narrative and the thorough analysis of the WTA Tour's changing dynamics.